And before we end our show, segment number 4, we've got Mr. Greg Aidala, who is doing his own comedic slant.
Sort of a tongue-in-cheek spoof on the elections. So this should be good. Let's watch.
Welcome back to another segment of Impact on Life. I'm your host, Greg Aidala. Today I thought I would do something a little bit different for you folks and read a monologue that I've written in regards to the elections that have occurred recently in the Capital District. I guess you could say it's a little tip of my hat to Andy Rooney, God rest his soul. So, with the trusty help of my teleprompter, aka my left hand, we'll have some fun and get through this. So the elections are finally over, phew. And allow me to start this segment by stating that I love how we in this great country are afforded the right to vote for any party or person that we choose to without having the threat of danger brought upon ourselves or our families if we don't vote a certain way. This, of course, if you don't live in the city of Albany, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But all seriousness, I love this time of year. It becomes a circus of sort, you know, with all the hooting and hollering, and the elephants and jackasses, donkeys. As I drive around the streets of the Capital District, I see how people's lawns are littered with politician signs saying, vote for this person or vote for that person. I like to have some fun and bring out retro signs, signs like vote for Ike or Kennedy for president. Sometimes I put a banner out in front of my house that says, hey, stay off my lawn and vote Roe, doesn't matter anyway. But what gets me most is when I arrive at the actual physical voting polls themselves. The smell of stale ideas and stagnant ways take root up my nostrils. As I walk in the front entrance, I take notice to the Boy Scouts trying to sell cookies so they can go to summer camp. And I want to tell them to quit. That's right, quit the Boy Scouts. Take up the drums or guitar. Have some fun while you're young. But I don't. Do you know why? Because I'm not a dream destroyer. I simply give a nod of encouragement and I go on my way. But I still don't buy any of their cookies. That's because they look like leftover meatloaf. So I enter the room to where the voting stations are located. Now this room is usually as hot as Hades on a July afternoon. I then strategically look around like I'm in some sort of a Western movie where I'd need to shoot my way out of. Then I proceed to make my way up to the registration booth. And here's where the fun begins, ranking on the volunteers. Now don't get me wrong folks, I am far from perfect. And I volunteered on many occasions at many events. But one thing I don't do when I volunteer is complain. Do you know why? Because I offered to volunteer. I digress. I walk up to a blue-haired woman seeking instruction on where I am to go, and she kindly points me to the back of the room to a second line in which now I find myself standing in. I have my ID out, and I'm ready to go. I finally make it to the front of the line, present my idea, and this lady has me sign in on the line. Now, a little insight about myself is I like scribbling the name Kermit the Frog on the sign-in sheet, and no one ever seems to notice. Yay, America. After signing in and receiving my paper ballot that is seemingly 4 feet long, I am directed to a standing booth that is cubed and intimidating. But at least waiting there for me is a nice blue Bic pen. The fortress that is the voting booth consists of 3 plastic walls to protect me from wandering eyes trying to spy in on my voting ways. Boy, I thought, I sure do miss the good old days when you actually went into the polling booth and pulled the curtains closed and you felt like the Wizard of Oz. Okay, I digress again. Let's get back to the ballots. All right, nowadays we have these ballots that remind me of the California aptitude test that I had to take back in grade school. And I'm trying with all my might not to doodle or draw surfboards on these sheets. I look over the candidates and I start thinking about these Board of Elections and how the word board should be spelled B-O-R-E-D, because that's what I'm feeling. So I focus up and prepare to finish my patriotic duty. I peruse the party lines and realize that there is something missing from this party line. And that missing ingredient is beer. No, I'm kidding, of course, well, sort of. But anywho, I complete what is asked of me, and now it's time to feed the ballot into what looks like an easy bake oven. Except what you get out is not a delicious treat, it's a delicious trick. The ballot makes its way into the futuristic computer, and the female monitor announces to me that my job is now complete. I take one more look around the room at the tired faces in the crowd, and I head off to my car and proceed to venture home where I can feel safe and guilt-free from the madness I just endured over the past 10 minutes. Phew, I thought it's over. That is until fall of 2012, when the stakes are even higher. I thought, will I sign Kermit the Frog's name on next year's ballot? Or perhaps change it up a little and write Mr. Rogers? Either way, I'll vote to fulfill my duty as an American. My question for next fall's election, though, is who's bringing the beer to the party? So for this segment of Impact on Life, I'm your host, Greg Aidala. We'll see you next time.
And that's it for our edition of Impact number 4.
Yep, that was a great humorous slant on the elections by Greg. I enjoyed
It's
that one.
always good to tuck it in with humor,
Right.
Nick.
Yep, absolutely. Remember, we want to hear from you out there, and you can email us at impact at what address?
Impact@proctors.org.
Right, so let's hear from you. Thanks for watching.
And take care now.